Welcome to Embracing the Bold Radio Hour, where we explore the vibrant arts, entertainment, and design scene right here at Valencia College. Join us as we chat with students, faculty, and artists about their journeys, inspirations, and professional experiences. Each episode unveils the creative pulse of our campus, offering insights into the world of artistry and education. Let's delve into the heart of creativity together right here on Embracing the Bold. We're so glad you joined us today, and I'm your host, Rebekah Lane. And today, we are continuing our community investigation with our fantastic guest, RJ Temple. RJ Temple is the creative director for themed entertainment. He's been doing this work for more than 20 years, and he's worked with major companies that we all know and love. He's also the founder of Creative Quest Foundation, and he's the author of 2 books, 100 Sparks for a Creative Mind and Priceless Pressure. RJ, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Hello, Valencia family. It's such a pleasure to be here again, and just a privilege to talk to you today about entertainment and creativity. I mean, this is what I've done for a living for many years, and I'm just so glad to be here. Thanks, Rebekah, for inviting me. It's appreciate it.
Yeah, we're so glad. So one of the things that we like to talk about on this show is what does it mean to be a creative, and what does it mean to have a career in a creative field? So you've got a pretty exciting job right now.
Yeah, yes, I do. And it's as a show director for a major themed entertainment company, working on, nighttime spectaculars, awesome characters, amazing attractions. And what's neat is, to your point about embracing the creative process. I love what your intro about the creative pulse. I think that's really literally what we have to keep, molding and bending every single day. It literally is a muscle that I had to, figure out, how does it work for me, and how to make that stronger. And so yeah, it's been an interesting journey, and it's been fun at the same time, but a little challenging at times. But it's embracing both is what makes it fun.
So did you always know that you were going to be a show director? Was this like your life goal?
Oh no. Oh.
So where'd you start?
Oh my gosh, I started actually as a musician. That was my humble beginnings. I'm from Savannah, Georgia, born and raised, and always played in church. That's how I started as a kid, playing the drums and, played saxophone, played piano, doing the normal thing. You want to be an artist and go on tour and want to be a part of this and that. And it just became a love for music is what I've always have had. But at the same time, I always loved theater and shows. Always been a big fan of the Muppets coming up. I'm from the 80s, and so Fraggle Rock and Muppet Show and all these great shows. Wubulous World of Dr. Seuss. A lot of people don't know that one. I'm showing my age. But what's cool about it is that being able to not only have a love for music, but also seeing music in a visual sense in story has really been a unique, blend of what I just embraced over the years. But yeah, show direction, it just kind of came to me out of an interest of just bringing those worlds together. I didn't really know what I was doing. I just was diving in. I'd love to write, and I love creating characters like on the side just for fun. And it just turned into something where it built a career that I didn't anticipate it turning into today. So it's awesome.
That's great. So, what did you do? So you started out as a musician.
Yep, I started as a musician
in your church.
Yep.
And then were you gigging? Did you go to school for music? What'd you do?
Yeah. So I started off in my humble beginnings, of course, in Savannah. Just like you said, just gigging, playing places.
Were you playing rock music? Were you playing?
Jazz. And one thing I love about music, I embraced everything. I was like one of those guys where it's like I go to Walmart, go to the 80% rack, grab all the music I can, and just learn about the instruments. And so I always had a passion for music and just what it took to make it. But then, as I was, of course, I was even rapping, I was singing, I was doing everything. But I wanted to kind of tell a different story. And so I started creating my own, shows. And it was called RJ and the Upbeats. And it's a kid show similar to Sesame Street. I started as a puppeteer. I was self-taught.
Wait, so you're a self-taught puppeteer?
Yeah, self-taught puppeteer. And this was like back in 2002. I just started creating these shows. And just locally did it in Savannah. I started at my church doing it. And the funny thing about it is when you think about puppet shows, it's like, okay, it's like the sock puppet, mixed with, maybe a crowd of 5 or, something like that. But for some odd reason, when I was creating these shows, they were of scale. Like it required me to make shows that were where 1,200 people were going to be there. And so I was just like, how am I going to do this? This is like, because it was like a mixture, like back connected to the church. It was like fall festivals and like Easter and things of that nature. So that's kind of like how I started. Creating shows that were 20, 25 minutes to fill in the gaps for these presentations. And so I'm just sitting here like, okay, how do I make this happen? And so I just started just kind of looking at, what Jim Henson was doing and all this and Kevin Clash and like all these different types of puppeteers and how they embraced, telling stories on major scales. And I just kind of found a vibe of my own and created a team around me that just embraced it. I looked up, and now it turned into 12 different stage plays and 50 original characters, and started to become a vendor with the Board of Education. It's called the Upbeat Imagination Workshop, and that's how I created this whole world, and that's kind of how I got introduced into directing. From being a musician to now having requirements to, work with artists and work with sound designers and work with, choreographers and choreograph things myself and find out how to build puppets and, all this stuff.
So you went from being a musician in your church to being a puppeteer / essentially show director for your church and writer.
Yeah.
And that was all like produced within your church.
Yeah, and what's funny is I started there, and it got so big that I branched out, and so it kind of was the humble beginnings, but then it transitioned into where it's like, okay, I would like to, can you come out to this convention? Can you come out to this, festival and do a show? Can you do this? Can you do that? And it became to where I became that guy doing all these various events, with my series of characters. Even went on a tour with the Board of Education, the 13-school tour with these characters, the Upbeats. And so that's how I started. And this was between 2002 all the way up until 2014 before I transitioned to Orlando is when I was doing this. But this is how Disney and a lot of the companies that I've worked with, up until this day have found me doing those shows many years ago. So it was fun.
Wow. And so for the Upbeat Imagination?
Upbeat Imagination Workshop.
Upbeat Imagination Workshop. So for that, you were writing.
Yes.
And you were performing.
Mm-hmm.
And you were directing.
Yeah.
Were you writing the music for that as well?
Yes, I was.
So you really were doing a one-man band kind of a deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I've learned, throughout that process is that, it's good to have a foundation, but once you have that foundation set, start empowering people to help you and building that team, around it. And so that's what I had to learn throughout that because, some people want to be a Renaissance man, but when you're 6 feet under and you can't do it because you're so busy doing everything, you're looking like a gargoyle in the middle of trying to have fun, it's impossible. You got to have somebody to come and help you. And so I think learning those disciplines throughout that process and embracing that, early on really gave me the muscles to understand what does directing mean. It's really about empowering your team and having a creative vision. And so I had to learn the hard way that I need to be able to know how to step back and teach people, how to do what I do. And then that's what gave me that ability to do things on a bigger scale.
I love hearing you say, because I was expecting you to say delegate. But I love that you didn't say delegate. I love that you talked about empowering your team and teaching them how to do what you do.
Right.
Like that's a huge shift in philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people think directing is, hey, sit here, do that, and which, it really is about, letting your team shine, seeing your team do what they do best. Finding people that have the same passion as you, and what I've been able to do is really embrace that power and just knowing that this is what it takes to do things on a bigger scale and to do things that's going to surpass even beyond you. You know, you got to know how to let people win with you.
I love that.
You know,
yeah.
And that's what directing, and especially in themed entertainment, creating these shows and these stories for families to be able to be, you know, immersed in, you know, characters that they love. And it takes a team and people with that same passion to do that. So
that's great. So did you pursue training beyond like the work that you were doing? I mean, because you were clearly training on the job.
Yeah. Yeah,
a lot of self-taught. But did you pursue formal training?
Well, my training was LinkedIn. LinkedIn, YouTube, and I realized again, I was in new territory.
Okay.
You know, I didn't really know what it was called. I just knew that it was theater, it was music, you know, it was just this gumbo of things that I needed to do. And so I just found like a passion to just embrace it and just know that, okay, in order for me to do things on a bigger level, I have to have people around me that has done it before, you know, to kind of, you know, get mentors, get people that has that same passion, that works in that role at that time, you know, to pretty much put me under their wing. And I would send them a message like, hey, I'm RJ. I want to be a director. I want to do this. I want to do that. You know, can you teach me? Can I get your phone number? Can I go to where you are? And I ended up doing quite a bit of things. Well, quick story. You know, I wanted to learn more about how to do puppetry,
right?
You know, especially, you know, in this realm, you know, trying doing on a major scale. I wanted to be around the people that actually been doing it for a living. So I reached out to a good friend of mine, you know, online. You know, I created a friend
right.
on LinkedIn. He reached back out to me, and then he was like, "Hey, you know, let me connect you with this person." It ended up to where I went to Jim Henson Company for a workshop in California because I just reached out and just tried to, you know, learn about it. When I got there, I completely sucked. It was terrible. I was literally like, okay, I thought I knew puppetry, but this is like a whole nother level. And I ended up that humble moment where you wasn't the man. You know, really showed me like, hey, I need to really step up my game and, you know, with puppetry and storytelling and all these different things and knowing how to maneuver characters. So that was life-changing for me. I needed to go. But that, again, that was by reaching out and taking that initiative to get to know people. Because, again, I was self-taught. You know, I didn't know there was today, Valencia has, you know, workshops and sessions and even, I think, a degree for themed entertainment, I believe. I mean, we didn't have that back when I was younger, you know. So it's just really is a privilege for you guys to have that, because that was the only way for us to know how to do this thing was word of mouth and just meeting people. So.
Oh yeah. Well, and so one of the things that I love about the puppetry community, because I think I've talked about this before, but I don't talk about it all the time. I also am a puppeteer.
Yeah.
I got my undergraduate degree in acting from UCF, and then the job that I got out of undergrad was a full-time position at a company called Micheli Puppets, and they hired me as an actor, but they had this fantastic grant that allowed them to employ me full-time. And when I was employed full-time, their philosophy was very much, how do we empower the people around us to learn the entire craft?
Right.
So yes, they hired me as an actor, but Tracy Connor, the executive director, was completely dedicated to forwarding the craft of puppetry, which is wonderful, because puppetry is still, it's such a small niche that the community is really all about sharing the craft.
Yeah.
There's not, it's not like, oh, you have to get an MFA from to learn to be to learn to puppeteer Kermit. It's like, oh, hey, you want to learn? Come on, we'll teach you.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how a lot of people learn puppetry, is like
it's an apprenticeship or a come play.
Yeah, it's definitely a come play, absolutely, because that's how I got better, is just being around people who just had a passion for that storytelling and really taking that character and like intentionally giving it a feeling, you know, or giving it a purpose. And that's what I love. Again, you know, there's so much discipline that comes with that skill.
Oh,
like
yeah.
you have to literally get out of yourself, you know, to be able to make it happen. And so and it's funny, it's like you even down with puppetry, just like acting, you can tell when something's on your mind because it goes through the way that you perform.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, same way it is with musicians and piano playing. It was like, you had a bad day, RJ, and I could tell the way you're playing. But it's the same thing with puppetry. It just really, you can tell. And so it really taking that step back and just really finding out, how do I want this character to be portrayed, and then just toying and having fun with it is just great. But it's just great to have people around you that has that same passion. That's how it gets even better.
Well, and what I love hearing you talk about is that even though you didn't pursue like this formal training, you really crafted with a lot of intentionality your own training.
Yeah.
You didn't just sit back and go, well, I'm kind of interested in this. You looked around, you saw, ooh, I like what you're doing. And then you intentionally reached out to people.
Right.
And initiated conversations.
Yeah.
Which initiated learning, which initiated opportunities.
Yeah.
And so there are so many ways to learn a craft.
Yeah.
And yes, we're at Valencia College. I totally believe that going to college is a great way to learn a lot of these crafts, but it's not the only way.
Yeah.
And if you don't see the exact degree that you want, it doesn't mean that you can't find that knowledge.
Absolutely. Every opportunity is a tool.
Absolutely.
Because your goal in finding, how to maneuver, how do I build this gift is literally, I tell everybody this, like your gift is literally a item with funnels out of it. Almost similar to how it is with a Dr. Seuss, bagpipe or something like that. Just has all these different, odd ends out of it. But the thing is that gets you there is the curiosity, the natural curiosity to be like, how does this work? And how bendable can this be? And how maneuverable can that be? You ever had to bop it, twist it, turn it, the game? It literally, that's your gift, is finding out what can you do with it and what can't you do with it. And then try to figure out, why can't I do this? Maybe I can do this and maybe it can. And just having that curiosity just really molds you into something that you never anticipated. I mean, multi-million-dollar opportunities, in creative development is where I'm at right now. And it's only because I just took my gift and just found unique ways to make sense of it. It all started from music. But then as I was pushing on it, I found story. I found characters. I found, technical direction. I found all these different things, and design assurance. Like, what? How do I find that out of a gift? But it is possible if you just play around with it,
Oh, yeah. So you came here.
Yeah.
From your puppetry company, you came to Orlando.
Yeah.
So what brought you here?
Yeah, as a performer and actor in theme parks. That's how I started.
So were you hired by Universal or Disney?
Yeah, I was hired by Disney and even Universal. So I started as a puppeteer and performer. So I worked at Hollywood Studios, did Horror Nights, started all those realms as an actor and performer. Because again, I was just kind of taking what I've done, and just saying, okay, let me try to go elsewhere so I can learn, from the ground up, and which is a big step. A lot of people don't just uproot, from home and be like, let me just start over again, literally.
So were you hired full time?
Yeah, I was.
So you were hired full time as a puppeteer.
Yeah, puppeteer and performer. Yeah.
Wow, and that brought you from Savannah to Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
And was that different from like working for yourself? Was that
absolutely?
What was the shift?
The shift was taking a step back and really taking that okay, I'm a director and now I'm down to just an actor and performer, which again is okay if you're learning. Because the way that I looked at it was like, okay, this is an inside opportunity to really understand how do I do what I do on a bigger level, and so a lot of times people don't understand, like when you get those opportunities, like you're in the know of a lot of unique things and you're able to, gather different types of skills. And especially when you work in themed entertainment with attractions or any of that nature, you have a different pace. You have to learn things. So it's not like how it is when you're a director and it's like, I can take 2-3 months and come up with something like that. It's like, you're going to learn this whole show in a week. I'm like, what? And then you're going to do it 13 times a day? What? That's crazy. But again, that was that. I talked about that muscle that really showed a piece of that creative muscle I did not work well, was how do I do this in an expedited way in quality? And that was something that I never really tapped into. But when I did, it opened up so many doors, and it gave me a chance to look at myself in a way like, I was my own setback. I was the problem, when it came down to how far I could go in my career. Oh. It was about how I was thinking, and so being in a new realm where it was literally taking what I've done forever and made me look at it differently. It was like, whoa, like I really could do this on this scale, because again, I wouldn't be here if they didn't believe that I could.
Correct.
So I had to really, tap into it and be like, okay, let me subdue this moment and really like learn some things. And then while I'm on the inside, let me start rubbing some elbows. Let me start getting to know who does what. And you looked up and it was like, you just rubbed the right elbow and it just worked out, Like again, the curiosity, is really what drives, in that passion to want to know more. Just really just took things to the next level.
That's great.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like it was a bit of an eye-opening experience to go from being your own boss to being a performer again.
Yeah.
Somebody else's performer.
Yeah, right. And I had to learn, when it was time to stop. I think that was a bigger thing, because as a performer, you can do this forever. You can act and perform and puppeteer forever.
And we have a lot of folks in Orlando who do that.
Yeah, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I mean, if that's your passion, that's what you want to do, that's how you want to build your story, go for it. For RJ Temple, it was a little different. Again, being a director before, I was like, well, this is not what I love to do, all the time.
Right.
I want to create stuff like this for open up doors for others too, and be able to write stories again, like I did with RJ and Upbeats. And so I had to, drop status. That was scary.
Oh, it's terrifying.
And just subdue, the moments elsewhere. Just find ways that I could, get in the industry and understand what is it called. And then when I started like being around like the local creatives in Orlando, and I heard the word themed entertainment, I was like, themed entertainment, what is that? It's like, that's pretty much everything you've been doing for the past 20 years. I'm like, what? Who told? And that just shows you never really will know things unless you go in certain environments. And it was Slice Creative Network. That's what helped me get going and understanding with Melody Metheny. Shout out to you, Melody.
Okay, so wait. So you were doing the puppetry work and you were performing,
Yeah.
but you were also engaged. You talked about rubbing elbows, but like, what does that mean? It sounds like you were getting to know people by joining professional networks, because like Slice Creative is a local professional network.
Yeah. And that actually gave me another way of looking again at what I do, and finding out that there is more opportunities if you know how to get off the stage and look behind, and you'll see all these people that's doing all these different types of things. Like, what are they doing? And so again, that curiosity, just opened the door. And so this opportunity, it all started with just going to one of the events, and just meeting people, but then knowing how to present yourself. That was a thing that I did not know how to do well, because again, when opportunities are always in your face, especially home in Savannah, you don't have to build a resume, you don't have to, do all these different things. So this was the first time I was like, whoa, I need a resume. Wow, I need to have a website about,
So you hadn't needed a resume until this point?
No.
Wow.
I have not.
I mean, that totally makes sense, but wow.
Yeah, it literally, because a lot of it was just grinding, just kind of getting, I mean, even at the time I was even like doing sound design for video games and got Parent Choice Awards and all this stuff. Like that was like just me just grinding. I was not applying for anything. I was just getting to know people.
Yeah.
But this is the first time I was like, wow, like I have to really try to take all these things I know how to do and make it practical for somebody to understand, because I can't just be this Renaissance man, this, jack of all trades person, because that does not, connect with somebody that's trying to bring me on a project. You can't just say you're a jack of all trades. Like how can you solve my problem? That's literally what people care about.
Right.
And so I had to really say, okay, I guess I'm a creative director that kind of that vision keeper of an idea and know how to display that idea through different forms of media, from film, television, or attractions. Okay, that's my starting point. That's what I can do. And so that's how I pitched it. And then from there, it opened up doors.
You're talking about being a creative director. A lot of times when I see creative director, I see that tied to the visual arts.
Mm-hmm.
And so are you also skilled in a visual art medium?
Yeah, that 3D animation, 3D modeling, a little bit of sketching.
So you're also doing 3D animation and 3D modeling?
Yeah, I even have motion capture shoots at the house.
What?
Surprise.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but, again, that was because I was like, okay, I want to be able to tell stories in unique ways. And so let me learn about what does it take to do this. And so I just started like learning about Maya and learning about Blender.
On LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn, YouTube, just random places so I can just get up to speed on the basics.
Okay.
Because you can't really ask people to do stuff for you if you don't really know what it's about. And because unless, there are ways for you to still empower people and not know everything, but at least know something.
Well, you have to know the vocabulary.
Yeah, because if you're going to direct people, you got to know what you want, and you want to know how it functions a little bit so you can help them, because they want feedback from you that actually is helpful. You can't say, make it sound like bing bong and dinga-donga, and then that's it. Like, they want to have a lot more thorough understanding. Like, I need to be a sweep here, and I need to be, some type of, Foley, kind of situation. I want to be crackling paper. They be like, okay, that makes sense. Thank you for that help. Just the basics, is what you should know as a director. But yeah, back to that moment. That's when I realized after 20 years, like, wow, like themed entertainment is what I do for a living.
That moment was Slice Creative.
Yeah.
With that conversation. And meeting all these amazing people, in the industry. Melody Austin, Melody Silverman now, who is actually in our board of directors for Creative Quest Foundation. She was one of the first people I met, and she worked on amazing stuff. I mean, for Sesame Place and SeaWorld, and worked at Universal. And it just ended up being where I just started building all these relationships, and then those relationships helped me understand who I am and how I'm able to fit in this weird world of themed entertainment. And so it just made sense as I started getting to know people and getting to know what's around me, and then taking that and be like, okay, let me go back to where I was before, and performing and directing, and see if they will give me opportunities on a higher level. And it ended up to where in a few years later it did. Wow.
Yeah.
So you've talked a lot. Well, and two questions. So one question is, in your current job, are you finding that you are using the skills that you learned? Like, are you finding you're using the music skills and the graphic design skills and the puppetry skills and the performance skills? Do those skills still apply to the work, your day-to-day right now?
Absolutely.
And what is your day-to-day right now?
My day-to-day as a show director is literally creating stories. It can be as small as a ribbon cutting for a hotel, all the way up to a cruise ship or an attraction.
Wow.
A nighttime spectacular with fireworks.
And when you say you're creating story, What do you mean?
Like creating stories involving characters. Like for example, I've done stuff, involving Mickey and Minnie and Donald and Goofy.
Okay.
All the way down to I've done, projects that's involved, Pokemon characters, all the way down to, stuff for Chuck E. Cheese. I worked on stuff for them, it's like a 3-film series called Get Down Around the World that's on YouTube. I was a creative director for that. Just, again, telling stories tied to an IP character. And then being able to know, first of all, understand what does it take to make that character come to life. Because every one of these companies have, requirements of how do you present them. And so over the years and again, being blessed to and trusted with these characters and numerous opportunities, I had to really dig into what it takes to do that and then be able to shine it in a very unique light, musically, in story, being able to work with art directors, with technical directors, being able to, present it, working with architects, working with CAD designers, and being able to practically tell the creative vision for everybody to know how to maneuver in their particular role, even lighting design. What does it take to present a character and what type of lighting presents that character? As a director, I have to be that person to support it. And so, again, it's just been fun to just figure this out, but a lot of it has to come with trial and error and being okay about being right and wrong.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and what I love about what you just said, and this is going to be a shameless Valencia College plug.
No, go ahead.
is everything you mentioned is something that you can take a class here.
Yeah.
Here at Valencia College. Specifically within the School of Art, Entertainment, and Design. You can take classes in architecture, you can take classes in lighting design, in graphic design, in costume design, in performance, in music, music performance, music recording, digital media. We have the resources to give you some of that fundamental foundational knowledge in those subjects. So if anybody is interested in any of these things, we can get you started. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Or you can go to LinkedIn also.
Hey, again, and Rebekah, I love what you are doing here with the arts department, because all of those different works of occupation, are very key in storytelling. And to be able to come somewhere like Valencia College and be able to learn these skills, and then be able to apply them to different, different projects, and being able to meet other students that have the same passion as you, I mean, that is very valuable. A lot of these amazing, creators over the years, it started with friends. And people they knew, to be able to create these very unique, things that we use today, So again, just having a place like Valencia that creates an avenue for you to know how to maneuver a creative career is truly a great opportunity. Definitely take it.
And it's a great place to create community.
Yeah.
And from everything you talk about, community was instrumental.
Yes, it is.
In getting you where you are today.
Yes, absolutely.
And community, church community, but also found community, intentionally crafted community.
Yeah. Just colleagues as an actor, a performer, people that you just run into just because, and you just happen to just have open conversation. There's been people that I've wore a creative T-shirt and they're like, "Hey, that's pretty cool." Is that what you do for a living? Like, yeah. Like, well, I always wanted to do that. Like, I ran into a guy dropping off some stuff at Goodwill once, and he was a actual student that was learning about sound design. And that was just me going to Goodwill, dropping off some stuff, and you look up, and I was able to help him find some opportunities. Again, that you just never know. It just happens anyway. You just gotta embrace it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so you've talked a little bit about this, but I want to give you a chance to talk even more.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you founded Creative Quest. And in fact, with Slice Creative, you met, remind me her name again?
Melody Metheny, yes.
Who ended up being instrumental in Creative Quest. So can you tell me or tell us a little bit more about what Creative Quest is?
Yeah. So I started even before Slice, Creative Quest Foundation started in 2018. It was founded there. And again, it was tied to, it's me being a young African-American guy from Savannah, Georgia, trying to figure out, how do I make a life of creativity? How do I make a career out of it? And a lot of the resources as a minority, I didn't really know like what it was called. And so the Creative Quest Foundation, I found it after I got to a certain point, I was like, man, I really want to change the narrative. And at the time, diversity and inclusion, was kind of like a afterthought until 2020.
Right.
But it was really important, when you're trying to build worlds. And we've seen this, flop so many times in attractions and songs and producing things. And you look at it, you're like, that's kind of biased. This culture is not that way. That culture is not that way. A lot of times it's because there's not enough creators in the room of diverse backgrounds. And so with Creative Quest Foundation, we focus on building that and working with other companies that wants to bring more inclusion and more diversity in their creative spaces. And then we provide scholarships for BIPOC creatives to go to, different corporations and events and conventions. Like IAPA is a big one. The International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions here in Orlando. We've been partnering with them for the past 2 years, and we've created scholarships for over 100 BIPOC creatives to go.
That's amazing.
Just I think it was about 2 weeks ago, we just sent like close to 50 BIPOC creatives to just go and just go to workshops and be able to meet people. and we did the same thing last year. Even the Midsummer Scream is a big haunted convention where all the haunted houses that are built, and even Horror Nights, Universal, Knott's Berry Farm, they're all at this big convention in Long Beach, California. We created another scholarship with Midsummer Scream partnering, and we sent 25 to 30 BIPOC creatives there, and they actually got a chance to meet the founder of Midsummer Scream, and they got a chance to walk the floor and meet all these unique people, in the industry. But that's the kind of things that we do. Well over $100,000 of scholarships we've been giving away in the past couple of years. And we became an official 501c3 this year.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, and we're just focused on really making it happen. We most recently did Ghouls Ball, which is a way for us to be able to take a mixer for again, students to be able to meet and mingle. We did that down the street at UCF. But that was cool. And we got great companies that sponsored us, like Franken Design, Bungalow Scenic Studios. These are all companies that do major attractions that believe in our vision and being able to bring more diverse, faces to the table and empowering people to be able to be around each other and learn from each other. And it doesn't matter if you're young or old, or you're black or white, or from this country or that country. Creative Quest, we really try to find ways for everybody to come together and be able to unite in creativity and find ways to be able to build a future together, and creative development, which is what we believe in, man. We just really want to see everybody thrive and have an opportunity at the table. And that's what that's about.
Yeah. So if I wanted to apply for one of those scholarships, like what are you looking for in candidates?
Yeah, a lot of times, a lot of our some are like strictly BIPOC creatives, and then others are just students. For colleges, we've had quite a bit of scholarships over the past year. So it's kind of based off of that. The way we apply, we just kind of have that in the layout of the registration. So we have quite a couple of events, like mixers and things of that nature. So just kind of keep an eye out. We embrace anybody who's in creative development, but our main driver is really finding a route for our BIPOC creative community, and finding ways for them to be more included, as well as having people that believes in that vision too, to come alongside. So we embrace everybody that wants to be a part of that, and especially students. We're a big big advocate for students and having them be a part of our programs, learning from people that's in the industry. We just recently did something this year here at Valencia, where I brought some of my friends that worked on, stuff for Universal, worked on stuff for Avatar, for Pandora.
Really exciting panel.
Yeah, it was a great time. And so, and we brought food and stuff. And so and those are like great events for everybody to come. So it's kind of a variety of opportunities for everybody to be involved. And our website has stuff all the time, mycreativequest.org, and you can check out there and see what's going on.
That's great. So what would your advice be? So if I'm a young student, maybe a high school student, and I want to be where you are, what should I do right now? How do I set myself up for this journey?
What you can do is look at, again, I talked about that gift, and lifting it up, taking a look at it and be like, well, what do I want to do with it first? What would make me happy? And
how do you know what your gift is?
Well, a lot of it is doing what you naturally do, and you don't even know that it's something that can make money for you. like a lot of gifts we all take for granted. Like for me, music is almost too easy. Like I know how to play by ear. I know music theory. I play numerous instruments. Like it's very clear that that's what I am built to do because it really is something I love and I'm passionate about it. I'm excited about it, and I'll do that for money and without money. And I think that's what your passion, that thing, that's what drives you. That's what excites you. Like for somebody that loves art,
right?
Loves drawing, loves writing, just because. I mean, that's your gift, all the way down to, directing people to, stay here, do this, maneuver here. That's a gift too. Being able to rally, big groups of people to function a big event like project management. Like I did that for a little while, many props to all of you that do that for a living because that's a gift and I don't really have it. But
I was a stage manager for like 2 whole shows.
Oh my!
Bless my heart,
man. That's hard.
It's really hard.
But some people, they love it. They love it, and they'll bring out their Excel sheet and bring out Trello and do all this stuff, and they'll bring everybody together on Slack and all this stuff. And I'm just like,
great.
That's such a great gift I don't have.
Nope.
So that's why I bring you on to help me. But again, those are all the things that we all take for granted that we naturally do. That's your gift, and you start from there. Because again, you got to start from somewhere, and then it'll just groom into other things. I mean, again, I was just a musician, and I ended up, doing stuff for games and doing stuff for film, and even doing a little project management, and even doing a little bit of, meeting notes, all the way down to now directing, and then knowing how to deal with budgets and all these different things. I mean, that came from just that starting point of music. So you just got to embrace what comes with it because you just never know what's going to dump on you. You never know.
You don't know. So I'm a high school student. I want to be where you are. The first thing I do is I look at my gift and I say, what's up, gift?
Yeah. And not only that, you find out what makes it tick, what gets you excited.
So I get curious about my gift.
Yeah. And then you find out, like, let's just create something. So let's say my gift is writing. Okay. All right. So I'm a high school student. I just love writing all day. I just always am doodling about, creating a story about these characters. So what you would do is you would take that and you would try to apply, create your own little series. Again, what's neat about it today is that you have Instagram, you have YouTube, you have all these different resources to be able to expose your ideas, share it with others, really give yourself a chance. And then not only that, bring people around you that embraces that writing. And then you never know. I mean, it could end up to where, you look around and you just say, okay, as a writer, who is writing like I'm writing? Writing is in news. Writing is in books. Writing is in games. Writing is in film. Okay, I'm getting very unique places right now. Writing is in theater. Writing is everywhere.
Right.
You know, writing is a script for an airplane flight. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? When you start digging into where writers are, then
writers
you start
are everywhere.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so it really is, again, you see how that just unfolded when you started thinking about where writing is. It's like, wow, that opens up a lot of things. Now it's like, okay, as a writer, what are they called? Oh, they're content writers, there's concept writers, there's show writers, there's copywriters. You know, even though it's even though it's spelled differently, it still is something that you do as a writer when you do, certain types of content. It's called copywriters.
Yeah.
And so just knowing the terms that comes with it opens up doors. But then it's like you have to also be like, okay, when the phone's not ringing or I don't have enough skills yet, you empower yourself. That's the biggest thing I did. As when nobody was signing me up to be a director or calling me, I just created my own stuff.
Yeah.
And I just started sharing it with everybody. And you just look up, like, for example, I wanted to do some voiceover stuff, right? Uh-huh. And so I just went online and I just found like some scripts and I just recorded myself, Best Buy, or Orbitz, or Expedia. I just started just recording and just seeing, okay, let me just play around with this. And then let me just create a reel, go create a website. Because again, it's really about having something simple for your idea, to share it with the world, building a QR code. It's so simple to do that. Like go on Wix or any of these websites, that gives you a free website to get started, and then show like, how you write for this type of style, for that type of style, this type of genre, this type of music, this type of game, lyrics writing. It's so many ways, and then put it in one spot for people to be able to see it. And then you can share it and then just, reach out to other people. Before you know it, you got a career.
Just like that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully that's helpful.
I mean, well, one of the things, and I had to go through grad school for this, but, no, not really. Because my journey was a little different in that I learned things because people hired me to do them. Mm. And then they were like, oh, yeah, we need these other things.
Yeah.
And so I learned how to do things for other people.
Yeah.
So like I learned how to write scripts for Micheli puppets. I learned how to write songs for them.
Yeah.
I learned how to build puppets for them.
Right.
I was in ensembles where other people were leading the development of the new work, but I was a contributing member of those ensembles, so contributing ideas. So then I end up in grad school going, man, I just got to hear my own voice. Because I had all these skills to make the things, but I couldn't hear my own voice to save my life. And so I go to grad school, and then all we do is just make a thing. And so that was my make a thing, 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 which really is where you started.
Yeah.
Which was just make a thing.
Yeah, just create content.
Because the more you make, the more it demystifies the process of making it.
Yeah.
Because if I only make one thing every year, that one thing becomes so precious.
Yeah.
But if I make 20 things that year, or 25 or 30 things that year, you go, oh, that's one of the 30 things.
Yeah.
And if it's great, hooray. And if it's not great, well, there's 29 other things that were cooler. Yeah,
and the thing I like about that is that you empowered yourself. You said, let me just start creating. I always say creativity is free. It's free 99. Like just start. Just begin. Yeah. And a lot of times we tend to just sit on our gifts and don't do much with it. But that trial and error and just creating and just developing stuff, or just being influenced by, I've wrote stuff for Sesame Street and never worked for Sesame Street, or like any place where I think I want to do something, I'll just create something that would go in line with it, just for fun, just doing it for fun, and try to embody, what makes that company what it is, and try to figure out, how does that work with the way that you see story too, and finding out, how to be able to maneuver it. Because there's a style for every company. Disney has theirs, Universal has theirs, SeaWorld has theirs. And so it's really about just figuring out how does everybody write, and then try to fit that writing style,
Yeah.
And just figuring out, just give yourself a test. Like, if I wrote a show for this type of character, what would that writing be like? And then just do it. And that's great practice.
Oh, yeah.
It's great practice. And you just never know. I mean, one day they'll be like, hey, can you write something for us? And I was just like, oh, you'll be ready.
In fact, I have 3 scripts.
Right.
Go.
Or I got the idea and I can write new stuff for you. Because I already got like an ideation of like how to maneuver through that. And then you'll learn more even with that, so.
Well, and I love how you're talking about writing in the styles of different organizations, because it's true. Different organizations have different script styles, different storytelling styles, different thematic styles.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that question of how do I, the artist, the writer, play in that style?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you ever have the question of staying true to your own vision while also honoring the corporation's vision?
Well, that's a good question. Well, let me say it this way. First of all, you have to know what the problem is. Because again, when you're working with these companies and they want to bring you in to write or produce something for them, you can't just automatically say, well, let me make this trap beat for you and then it will work. And it's like, well, that doesn't work for everything. You have to find out what their need is. And then you can start with the need and then go in your arsenal and find out, what are some things I took over the past years and then can apply it to help build a solution, 3 or 4 different solutions. And so that's what you have to do. You can't really go in and take, because again, you're the vision keeper. You're creating a vision on the fly, actually.
Right.
And so there's no issue with, I have to show that I have, this thing taken care of. Like, they literally gave it to you. You're taking care of it now. So you don't have to prove any points. It's really about how do I maintain it and then build a story around it. Like most recently, I did something with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, with a Disney company. It was fun working with them, and they have a specific thing that they're doing for their kids. They want to create worlds around characters that these kids love.
Right.
And so, if I just went in and just did whatever I want to do, that would have really messed up that opportunity for these kids. So I had to really find out what is the need. And then once I figured that out, then I was able to maneuver through that and find a really amazing experience for these kids. And it turned out being, one of my favorite projects, Once Upon a Wish Party, which was fun. But yeah, that started from understanding where the need is, and then taking my style and seeing how it fits with that need, and then giving and taking, kind of really, it's like creating a cake, a themed out cake, and then figuring out, what I need to shape and what can I keep,
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting to be able to go, okay, here's my vision. Here's how it plays with another vision. And I know that a lot of times when you hear artists talking about like working for corporations, a lot of times that is a conflict.
It is.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so figuring out how to have that conversation with yourself and with your craft and your vision, that's a really interesting way.
Yeah. And we're more equipped to do it than you think. It's really about being open to, ideas that surpasses yours, and then knowing that you have the capacity to participate in that exploration.
Right.
You have, because you're in the room, right? You're in the room with them now. So it's really about believing in yourself and knowing that you have the ability to do that. And you can start working that muscle now. As you're a student right now, you're trying to figure out, how do I get in this opportunity, that opportunity? Start learning how to believe in yourself. Because they'll be able to read that, If you don't trust yourself, they be like, well, if you don't trust yourself, I can't trust you neither.
No.
You know, but if you start, just taking that step forward, even if it's a weird step, I always say being fearful forward. Being fearful forward actually is the best thing you can ever do, and especially in creative development. So, yeah.
I love that.
Do it.
So I have some rapid fire questions
Yeah.
that we've been asking at the end of these shows lately.
Yeah.
Are you game for them?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So fill in the blank. Creativity is
an opportunity to share who you are with the world.
Oh, I love that. What motivates you the most?
What motivates me the most is family. Because one thing I love about family is that it gives you another reason. You're going to give yourself a reason to do stuff, but family, and having that responsibility, it makes you want to pursue what you do in diligence.
Ooh.
And wanting to, get things right because you want to make sure that they're good.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah.
In 1 to 3 sentences, describe your favorite creative project.
Wow.
It's like the very Reader's Digest.
My favorite creative project? Oh, wow. Oh, man. Everybody's listening on this one.
It better be my project.
Oh, my God. I would say it has to be things that I've empowered myself with.
Okay.
So because your ideas are the best ideas. So I'll say it this. Creating the Upbeat Imagination Workshop and those 12 stage plays and 50 original characters was the best idea I ever had. The reason why is because it equipped me and empowered me to do what I do today. That's my second statement. For that stretch of time and all the time I put into it, I'm so grateful because it paid off to where I am right now.
Awesome. What is the best or the worst advice that you have ever received regarding your creative field?
Oh my gosh.
It's one piece of advice.
Oh my gosh.
It's the best or the worst.
Oh my gosh. I'll give you the best and I'll give you the worst. And I'll start with the worst. The worst advice I got was that you're not equipped to do this.
Ooh.
And you should just be a performer all of your life. Again, there's nothing wrong with being a performer. There's nothing wrong with being an actor. Great people do that for a living. Mm-hmm. For RJ, that was more of that's not me. And I think that person didn't see the value that I could have been. And a lot of it because, some people will empower you and some people won't see it. And in that moment, they didn't see it. Now, the one that the best advice I ever got is that just keep going.
Mm.
You are a great director. And look around. You're doing it. That's one of the best things that one of my bosses told me is like, look around, you're doing it.
Look around, you're doing it. Yep.
Look around, you're doing it. And it's like, man, like that's so true because once you get into this realm and you're building things, you tend to forget. You're your worst critic.
Oh, yeah.
But it's when you have champions around you that are encouraging you and saying, breathing life into you, that's the best people to get advice from.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. What is one warning sign you watch for when considering taking on a project?
they're not valuing you as a person. Sometimes people will do stuff just for the money. I've done that before. We've all done that in a way before. But it's the way you feel while you're making that money is so important. You know, it makes the money not even worth it anymore when someone doesn't respect you or not kind, or makes you feel as if you're not a person who has invested into your gift. You know, again, some people, their goal in life is just to be a Debbie Downer and just make you feel like you're never going to get enough. But, man, just don't listen to them.
And one more question. In one sentence, what does being an artist mean to you?
An artist. I'll say a quote that I created a long time ago. Talent comes naturally, but ability comes gradually.
Ooh.
As a talent and creator, just know that it's all about creating and having fun and doing what you love, but just know you got to have space to learn.
That's great. RJ, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
This was so much fun.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And again, you know, Rebekah, thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to coming here again, and we have great things ahead. And can I share some of my socials?
Absolutely. But before you do that, we are planning to bring RJ and Creative Quest Foundation in the spring. We're still navigating the date, but watch for that. And then you've got socials. Yes,
absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll be coming soon. And again, you know, thank you all Valencia students. You know, keep pushing, keep striving. You know, you're gonna do great. You can follow us on Instagram at My Creative Quest, at My Creative Quest Foundation. Also on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. Our website is mycreativequest.org. You can see all of our upcoming stuff, including scholarship opportunities, mixer opportunities. You know, we love students and we love, you know, building great stuff. We have Ghouls Ball coming in 2024. You know, that's our big, you know, mixer event with costumes and special guests and so forth. So just keep an eye out for all the cool stuff coming in 2024. And thanks again for having me.
That's
really
awesome.
Appreciate it.
All right. Well, I hope you have a fantastic holiday, and we will see you when you come back and see us in the spring.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
And for those of you listening, thank you for joining us on Embracing the Bold Radio Hour. We hope to see you back at Valencia College in the spring.